Hello team, welcome to Winter Games Day 16, Curling, where we are given a multi-dimensional array, this bad boy right here, and we need to calculate the points for the end or that round in curling, okay? In this case, the center is what matters most. The center being the button, right? I think they refer to that up here somewhere. Yeah, the center cell is the button, and the closer you get to that, the more chance you have of getting points. Kind of like darts on ice, except that you aren't throwing them so much as you're skidding them, okay? So with that in mind, we have a few concerns, a few things that we need to take care of. One being, this is the grid we're working from, and JavaScript doesn't have a way to do the outside edges and then the next set of edges and then the center. We don't have a way to iterate through this in that way unless we hard code something special for all the twos, all the ones, and the zero, right? There's just no way. Instead, we are going to get very creative with some math and some looping. There's going to be a lot of looping today. So here we go, okay? Right here, we have our first const, okay? We're going to call it ring counts, and this is going to be get end counts. Is that what I called it? Yeah, okay? We're going to pass in the house because this is going to return an array of objects, okay? So we'll talk about that in just a few seconds, just creating the function really fast. Excellent, okay? Yeah, so we have ring counts right here, okay? And it's going to be an empty array. Now what we're going to do is inside of here, in a few seconds, we're going to loop through all this, and we're going to create arrays which have the red with a point and the yellow with another point, right? Obviously, there's no way to get this many points. That's complete make-believe, but this is what we're going to do. And they are going to be indexed to this. So 0 is going to be the first item, then ring 1, then ring 2, and they're going to be indexed that way, which makes it really easy to get that information back out later on, okay? But for now, it is just an empty array. The other thing we need is the centers, okay? If this was to change sometime in the future where maybe we add another ring or a couple rings, calculating that center, we might have the numbers hard-coded somewhere. That would be very hard. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them right at the top. They're still going to be hard-coded for today, but easier to get to, okay? And easier to change if this becomes more dynamic. If the size of this grid becomes more dynamic, we can do some math to figure that out, okay? So that leads to this. This is going to be the center for the row and the center for the columns, okay? Excellent. Now, down here is where we get into our for loop, okay? This is going to be pretty standard, so let I equal 0. I is less than house.length and I++. Brilliant, okay? Grabbing all this because we're going to use it a second time in here, but change the i's to j's, okay? House.length also needs to change. We need not the house, not the rows, but the columns, okay? So we have two options in here. We could just go 0, right? Because they're all the same. Just getting the length of 0 makes sense. We don't have to do anything fancy. Or you could go with I. Both are perfectly acceptable. No harm, no foul, okay? Now, inside of here, we are going to do some stuff. And in fact, we are going to get that team. So whichever I and J we are, right? I being the rows and J being the columns, we are going to figure out what that value is over here. It's either going to be a dot, an R, or a Y, okay? So that's here. We get house, and that's going to be I, and that's going to be J. Excellent, okay? If, using it right out front, if that current team equals a dot, okay? Not a comma, a dot, okay? Then we continue because we don't care about the dots. That's not a real team. We're only concerned with the R's and the Y's, okay? So we skip those. Perfect. Down here, we need to get the distance, okay? The distance from the button, from the 0, okay? And that looks like this, const dist. In fact, I'm not sure why I use let here. This could be a const as well. We're never going to change it, but this dist, okay? We're going to do I minus center of the rows, okay? Sorry, that's minus. Don't know what I'm doing there. This is going to give us a number that is possibly negative, right? Because if we take the center here, right? If we're way over here, sorry, if we're way over here at 0, 0, and we do 2 minus 0, brilliant, right? Well, that's a negative number. Sorry, the other way. I'm getting this backwards because of how I've displayed this, but this is going to be 2 because that's the index, and this is going to be index 0. So 0 minus 2 is going to be minus 2, and we need it to be positive. Flipping it around, again, like I said, there are a few things in here, okay? But flipping it around to positive, brilliant. I'm going to grab this again, add a comma afterwards, and change this to J, and this to column, brilliant. And you'll notice that comma because I want one or the other values. What do I want? Well, I want math.max, okay? Which means that I'm always going to get whichever the furthest outside value is. And as an example, again, this is 0, 0, and this is 2, 2, okay? So 0 minus 2 is 2. 0 minus 2 is 2. The maximum is 2. So it lists as a 2, and that's how I got this number. Same with this, right? This is 1 and 0, okay? 1 and 0. So 1 minus 2 is 1, right? Because we're doing the absolute. 0 minus 2 is 2, right? And so we get that 2. Hopefully that's making sense because it's a bit. Now, organizing this just to make it pretty, brilliant, okay? Once we have that distance, we can use it, okay? So the first thing we want to do is go into our ring counts, okay? And we want to find out if distance has an object. If we've already started an object for that array index, right? Because we're going by rings. We're going by rings. Right here, we go ring count dist. I'm going to use this a couple times, so just go in here. If that exists, then great, we return it. Otherwise, we do something new. What do we do? Well, we're going to do the R as 0 and the Y, capital Y, as 0, okay? So this is where we funnel information in there. But remember, we also returned early. We continued early from this loop. So there's a chance that we might not get here, which means that that information might not be here. We will take care of it, okay? But with that, we can use it again. So now we have our current team, okay? Just like this. And that is going to be, again, we're going to test to make sure that exists. It absolutely should. In fact, at this point, I think we can just go plus equals 1 because we created it here. It should already be there. Brilliant. I'm going to find out. Let's find out together, okay? Last thing, way down here, we're going to return ring counts, okay? So we tallied it all up. It's all there. We can do it. Excellent, okay? We got that. So we went through, we processed it, taken a quick look, found the center, created a capture array, and then iterated over whatever our multidimensional array is to tally up the numbers and returning, okay? A lot of work, right? That's a lot of work already, but we are not done. So right here, we have const score, and that's going to be equal to get end score, okay? What are we passing in? Well, we're passing in ring counts, right? Just like this. We haven't actually created that, so we can go and grab it and start making that function. Get end, oh, spelling it right. Come on, doing it right. There we go. Excellent. Now, there is something with ring counts that we need to take care of, okay? And that's the fact that it is an array starting at 0 and going to index 2, okay? There really are only 3 rings, so we only should have 3 items in there. But it's backwards, right? We want to go from the outside to the middle to tally this up. Outside, then the middle, then the center, okay? Which means that we need to reverse it. Now, you might think that you could use reverse, right? We can return, and we get ring counts like this, and reverse. And yes, you can do that. I recommend not doing that because you have altered ring counts directly, okay? Reverse by itself changes the array in place, and we don't want to do that. What we can do instead is we can reduce. But not just reduce, we can reduce right, okay? And reduce right will start from the end of the array and work backwards, okay? Our indexes will be funky, but it still works. And for this, we don't actually need the indexes, so it's okay, okay? Same sort of thing inside of here. We have the accumulator, we have the current, and we do stuff. Now, our initial object, okay? We have team, that is an empty array, just like this, and we have the points, okay? I called it points. We're going to stay with that. That's going to be 0, okay? We're either going to update this or replace it. That's the goal, okay? Now, like I said, there is a chance where that index inside of here might be empty because we didn't populate every index. We populated only certain indexes, right? Sometimes we returned early. If that entire row or ring was dots, then we would have no values for that. So we need to take care of that right here. If not current, then return the accumulator, right? We're going to use this a second time. So right here, I'm going to get into it and go if current.r is greater than 0 and current.y is greater than 0, okay, we're also going to return because if we have a value, let's go way down here, right? We have on this row alone, we have yr, yr, y, okay? Well, as soon as you have 2 different values in that ring, right? This is the top of the outside ring. It cancels all of those points out. So we no longer care about that ring. We can just skip it. Not a problem. It's done. Okay? It's gone. Which means that if that ring, where are we here? Going back down. If the points on that ring are greater than 0 for both, then we can just return. We can skip it. Okay? Going down, we need some more. So right here we have we have to figure out which team has the greater points. Okay, so we're going to call this the ring team or the N team, something like that. Just making up names, but here is R, and if that value, right, because we're returning the value there, if that value is greater than Y, then we return R, otherwise, capital R, sorry, there we go, otherwise capital Y. Brilliant. So we figured it out. The challenge here is that what happens if they're both 0? Then it's calculated as Y. But points is also going to be 0, so it's really not a problem. It just works out, okay? We don't need to worry about that too much. We can keep going. If the accumulator team is equal to ring team, okay? So if this team is equal to whatever we return from here, then we do stuff. What do? Well, we go accumulator.points, spelling it right, plus equals 1, not plus equals current ring team, okay? Because that's the only one we care about. And remember, they're both in there. They're both in the current, right? Which is why we were able to test both of them. But we only care about which one has more. Hopefully that's making sense. Right here, we return the accumulator because we want to stop there. But we always need to return something. So right here, return this, okay? We can actually steal this for a hot second just to make our life easier. We're going to pass in ring team just like this. And the points is going to be this, right? Current ring team. Excellent, okay? Okay, so this is our second one. We've done it, okay? We figured it out. We reduce right because we want to go from the outside ring to the inside ring, okay? That's really important. We can absolutely do that. In fact, you can use this all the time. So long as you don't care about the index, you just care about the end result. Reduce right works, and it's not going to hurt anything, okay? But if we don't have a value, or red and yellow are both greater than 0, then return the accumulator because we don't care about any of those values. From there, we calculate who the actual winner of that round was. It might be neither, but again, if points is 0, that's all we really care about, okay? So we figured it out. We go through and do some work, okay? We're always returning something because it's a reduce, and we always have to reduce something, or return something, sorry. Bringing it home. We got it, okay? We got the ring counts. We pass those in. Now we have our score, which is a team and our points, and we just need to return our final string, okay? That is here. So we have score.points, okay? If score.points equals 0, okay, then we return one string. Otherwise, we return another. And you'll notice that I changed the quotes there because the first one is no points awarded, okay? So we paste that in, brilliant. Otherwise, we generate something, okay? And it looks like this, where we go score.team and score.points, okay? And hopefully that does it. That was a lot, okay? And it feels very, very complex to me. I'm not sure if I like this solution. I tried to think of how I might do it differently. There was a thing with possibly using Euclidean or Pythagorean theorem, right, to get this math. Doesn't work at bigger grids, so don't do that. But here we are, right? We started out by creating 2 functions, and we passed the results of the first function into the second function to get our final information. So the first function was a loop where we gathered up all of the data, okay? We put it all together and created this array of objects for red stones and yellow stones. Brilliant, okay? From there, we reduced it down to our final team and their points for that end. And then after all of that, we output the string. Am I happy with this? Again, I don't know, right? I have 2 loops here and another one down here. Sure, I've broken it up, but it feels like a heavy amount of code. On the other hand, it is a very complex data structure to be able to get from the button to the outside rings, or from the outside rings to the button. That's never going to be an easy thing. So this might be the solution, right? If you did find a better one, please hit me up in those comments. I definitely want to learn how to do this better. And if you found one, share it. I would love to see that. Otherwise, today this has been Winter Games Day 16 curling, and I will see you tomorrow.